is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and Krissy Vann. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation
Off-road edition.
Let's get to it because we have been all on trips, some working trips, some trips, and very kind of different because Richelle, you're in Mexico. I was in Costa Rica. And Krissy, you were in Halifax.
Indeed. Balmy Halifax, a pleasant minus 39.
Oh, perfect.
Well, Laurie, big lead up there. So where are you taking us?
Oh, okay. Well, especially with travels, we meet people, right? No matter you're in airports, you're out and about, and you're obviously seeing the people you went to visit or, you know, are with. But I'm curious. I know, Richelle, this is going to be a for sure, and you'll probably have a hard time picking from. But what's somebody that you've met in travel or came across that stands out to you, and why did that person stand out to you and as the person to talk about right now?
Are we talking about specifically these travels you just outlined?
Yeah.
It was minus 39. I didn't meet another soul. Everyone was fucking smart and inside.
What about like on the plane or in the transits or like somebody, like, is there anybody that you're like, oh?
Well, my airplane neighbors were lovely. I normally do my pre-flight chat saying, hey there, I sleep really well. Please give me a shove if you need to exit. But they were a lovely Ukrainian couple. So we had a bit of a language barrier. So the conversation was not understood. So I mimed it. And then I was like, is this degrading to another human? I'm not sure. However, I did help this soul out because the overhead bins were so full and he had a massive winter jacket, and the flight attendant was not very kind and basically took the jacket out of the overhead bin and was like, this needs to be on your lap. But he also didn't understand what just happened. And he was a very large dude in the middle seat now with a giant parka on his lap. So I mimed because the neighbor across from me had her daughter and her and an empty seat. And so I asked them, I was like, excuse me, can I please put this man's jacket under your airplane seat that's spare so he doesn't have to fly the whole way like that? But then I think he might have thought that I perhaps was trying to rob his jacket. Not actually, but like there was a little bit of like, me, take this over here. Anyways, I felt like he had a better flight. So ironically, great conversation without any understanding of each other. Boom.
Kind of do have to go to the sign language style of like body language. Essentially what it is because that's communication. I don't think that's offensive because people use it with me when we have the language barrier, and because you're essentially saying like, you clearly don't hear what I'm communicating with my words. Now we're at the body.
It was a show and tell, and I would like to think that what they were saying after is that Canadian woman's very nice.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Did he speak a different language? Is that why the barrier?
Yeah. They were like both. The only reason why I knew that they were Ukrainian is because the flight attendant came back as they were in their seats. Like, again, they weren't very kind, but needed to see their identification again. And so then that's when I saw the passports. And I came out, I was like, maybe with all the turmoil that's going on, perhaps this is like their first venture into Canada. And I was like, I hope not, because this flight attendant is not representing us very well. So I decided to pick up the slack and be like, welcome. And who wants a parka blanket all flight? No.
Nobody.
They do.
What company was it? Like Air Canada?
I was on WestJet, which normally I'd say I fly them frequently because that's my like points card thing. And I actually have a plethora of positive experiences.
Yeah.
This was just one bad nut.
Yeah, just one bad nut, one bad day for her. She obviously, her coffee was cold. She tripped on her way in. Mm-hmm. Her hair got some gum in it. It was bad. It was a bad morning for her.
There was probably a puker on an earlier flight. Like, it's fine. These things happen.
Nobody wants a puker.
No. How about y'all?
I feel like I have, I feel like I've met so many random people on this trip. Somebody that stands out to me, I think, well, first of all, I got a job here working the bar, called Neat. And, the Keep that hired me actually knows my partner, Megan.
Crazy.
So
And did you know this
Yeah, I was
previously?
like, is this a coincidence or is this like,
Nope,
this is coincidence?
just a coincidence, total coincidence. I posted a video of her on Instagram holding that turtle that I found. And Megan was like, is that blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yeah, it is. And she's like, I went to college with her and they had like really known each other.
Oh,
Crazy.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, that was a really interesting one. And then these two brothers here, they're like really good surfers, Ciervo and Sully Way. And they're just really nice dudes. And they just kind of like show up all the time. They're always so relaxed. Every morning we go to the beach to go surf. I don't surf, obviously. I'm terrible at it. But I like to sit there and watch, and they're just such a like. I felt a little uneasy here because I didn't know how to calm down. I didn't know how to like be in the flow with everyone, and they just kind of like made me feel like, oh, you can just be calm here. Like it's cool. Like nothing's happening. Like it's pretty chill here. So that was really nice. And they come here, they get their hair cut by my friend, and they're just like super down to earth dudes. Which is like nice. So yeah, those guys just kind of like stood out to me because they weren't mean, and some of the people here are kind of a bit cliquey. Interesting enough.
Interesting.
I guess
Yeah,
that
it's
like
almost
nomad
like
culture, right? Like people probably make their little groups and then it's like that safety net, so they
yeah.
kind of hang on to them.
It's like a gathering of folks that were kind of like, we figured it out. Like we're rich or we're not rich, but we're here just enjoying our time. And it's almost like you need to know somebody that's a part of the group before you are even allowed to like get a smile. It's so
Ew.
weird.
It sounds like they have not figured it out.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's an interesting one. So to meet those two guys and they're just like super open, friendly, they're just like super nice dudes. And I was like, yeah, this is nice. Thank you. Thank you for making me feel welcome. So they stood out to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Mine was Danny. So Danny works at Pizza Hut, and we were in Costa Rica. This is our last day, and we're in San Jose, and we were like, we're gonna go eat, and we had to be home by a certain time, and we were kind of like, you know what? Let's just do like what we know. And we love Pizza Hut, and we haven't been there in like a year. And usually the Pizza Hut's actually better in other countries than it is in Canada. So we go to Pizza Hut, and okay, I got to pause for a second here because Richelle's face has frozen, but it looks like she's highly judging.
Moving on mine.
Yeah. Oh, is it? It looks like she's like, just
like, I don't know about Pizza Hut.
Judging me. And I was like, okay, Richelle, you've had Pizza Hut, settle down. So we go to, and in San Jose, from what we experienced, rightfully so, few people spoke English. And so as we go in and we're asking for a table and things like that, huge language barrier for obvious reasons.
You did sit down Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah, we did like proper Pizza Hut. And ironically, though, we were so excited for the crust. And then for the first time they asked us, this is a side note, obviously, they were like deep or like the full crust, medium crust, or thin crust. And then we thought the medium crust was going to be the regular Pizza Hut crust. It's not. So, and it doesn't taste like pizza. So we're like, ironically, we didn't have Pizza Hut, traditional pizza. Side note, never do that, by the way. Always just say the traditional crust. Don't ruin your day. So we sat down, and the server comes over. His name ends up being Danny. And he's just like covered in tattoos, like his head shaved, his face, he's got face tattoos, everything. If you went to that kind of like, the biases and all those things, you'd be like, this is clearly a gang member, like da-da-da. So he starts to talk obviously in Spanish, and we let him know we speak English. He's like, oh, I speak English a little bit because I had a girlfriend in the US. He spoke great English. Anyways, he was so nice. He spent half the time teaching us different Spanish words in and around our meal. And he was so helpful and he was so attentive. And it wasn't just he was like that with our table. He was like that with all the tables. He was just the nicest, kindest, most genuine, human. I, of course, wanted to life befriend him. So I was like, if you come to Canada, we shared information. I was like, you can stay at our home, come be friends forever. I even said to Dave, I'm going to offer our home to this person if he comes. And Dave's like, yes, I do. Absolutely. Like, he was just an absolute gem. At one point, he comes over and he's like, hey, great news. I found out the vegetarian pizza, if you buy one, you get a second free. So you got a second pizza for free. And we were like, in our heads, we're like, because no one orders them probably. I think they're like vegetarian and that shit out for free. But so we were like, oh, we leave in the morning. We won't eat the pizza. Do you want the pizza? He's like, you know what? Take the pizza, give it to somebody you see that might need a pizza. We're like, yeah, of course. Great. He was just one of those absolute gems. And the irony of it is we went to all these different restaurants, some of them were on the nicer side. Some of them were just regular beach restaurants, all the above. But it was the first time we had anybody in any context that was of service that was just so genuinely there and genuinely themselves and not doing it because, well, that's what you do or you're going to get your tip or whatever the case may be. And we were like, the irony of the fact that it was at Pizza Hut.
I feel like we need to set this entire conversation you just had to like piano, like emotional backdrop music, and then cut it, send it to Pizza Hut, and then they can use it as like, it was the best service I ever had.
Yeah. Also,
do you ever question yourself?
Oh, go.
I was going to say, do you ever question yourself and think about the times that somebody didn't speak English that came up to you and you were kind of like, oh no. I want to be so helpful, but I know it's like Google Translate comes out or you see people just, you know what I mean? You're just like, frig, I wish I could speak multiple languages to be that guy,
Yeah. And it was funny because he's like, oh, I'd like to get better at my English. And I was like, you speak it better than I do, sir. You need to not worry. I promise you. Like it was, but yeah, you do, you kind of panic because you want to be as helpful as you normally are with another human, but you are so restricted because of that language barrier. Thank goodness though, when you think about it you have to have internet. That's the only tricky thing. So when you're in another country, if I don't have access to internet in that moment, but here, Google Translate it was crazy. We had it where you can just like hold it up to a sign and it translates it.
What?
That was crazy.
Yeah. Is that an app?
It's like Google, I think it's just Google Translate, but you like hold it up like you would to scan something and it immediately just shows you the same sign and it changes the letters on on your visual. It's crazy.
Because you can do that with menus and stuff too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
We live in the future.
Yeah. I just haven't joined it enough. I live in the future.
I think that when I use Google Translate out here, it's like the dialect sometimes isn't right. Like I was at the El Faro the other day and I said something and I was so confident about it. I had said it in front of like 5 people, like across the bar, like amigo, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, he's like literally back to me in English, like, what? And I was like, una más, gracias. You know what I mean? I was like so confident.
That's like
Google Translate
supportive reaction though. Like I feel if somebody's making an effort, it's like you got to recognize that in the person,
Yeah.
I totally understood though. I was like, you really didn't understand what I was saying. I could have literally been like, nice nipples. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Would have been weird.
Danny taught me straw, which I think is pija or something like that. And I said it to him when he came back and he was like, oh, no. Then he had to repeat it. He's like, you just said something like slut or something. like
swearing.
Like, puja or something like that in Spanish. Essentially, they're two very close. They're very close in meaning vagina or something and straw. So I'm not going to willy-nilly throw around, can I have a straw?
It's fair.
Nope.
I get more than you bargained.
So I'm really crisp on that pronunciation.
I feel like your little talk of we live in the future segued well into my question.
Okay.
So we do live in the future, and obviously within the last couple of weeks, open artificial intelligence tools have come to our disposal. How do we feel about that?
I'm so creeped out. I'm so creeped out. Like going through immigration. I know this isn't necessarily new, but it's so very creepy that now it just scans your face and it spits out all my information. I don't even need to like tap in who I am, write my name down. I didn't even need to scan my passport. It just scans my face. It's like, whoa, it's so uncomfortable that it's just that simple to know who I am and to catch me if I'm on the run. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but that creeps me out.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
A little bit. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Chat GPT.
What? Say it again.
Chat GPT.
No.
Oh my God.
We want to know. La 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 la.
Honestly, like it really depends on how you feel about it. So for example, it's open source right now. It probably won't always be, but for myself, let's say, so I have to like optimize my website so you'll rank top in Google search. And a great way to do that is to add blogs and stuff like that and have more written material on your site. But writing that shit takes a lot of time. Well, with a tool like this, you literally can say, write me a blog about blah, blah, blah. And like it spits it out so fast. Essays, thesis, like it'll be so curious to know what. Like if I was a copywriter or a blogger right now, I'd be freaked out because they're way better writers than I am. Like it's literally, if I need ideas for things, give me like 10 working starts for this. Give me a script, give me this. And it just happens in a second.
Oh, that I feel so uncomfortable with. One, for a part of the thing of like for efficiency, obviously fantastic. The part in which authenticity in and around having to work out what it is you actually think, what it is you actually feel in the process about creation. Like you said, like, yes, let's even take away infringement or not infringement, but like copyright and take that all off the market. Just even as a person to actually do the creative work and to like do the whole due process that is the point of it all at the end of the day, is that if you do that, you become so behind in all of it. And because everyone else is using these tools. And that's where, the Google searches and all those things are going like rewarding, right? It rewards essentially using these algorithms and that I am so just as a human that's trying to be in the process of it all, I find it just overwhelming and disheartening. That's where I stand on that.
Where do they pull the information from? I guess AI is just creating from what humans have put on the internet. And so
up till 2021 right now. So like basically any information that's been cultivated at that point, it's like relevant up till 2021. It's pretty wild. Like
that's crazy.
I definitely have two minds of it. Like I do feel like people that are strongly against it in like career and working life will get left behind because there's such an old adage. Like it's like the work smarter, not harder type of thing. And like you like to be successful, you have to use all tools available because your competition's going to be using them anyways. But at the same token, authentic voice, there's going to be no space for that. And for me, I'm like, how does the education system roll with this? Because truthfully, teaching kids how to like write essays and shit like that literally just became irrelevant in 2023. There was somebody that had their whole thesis done and it can be done in literally 30 seconds. And so then by default, it's just not even necessary.
They're allowing that.
No,
I'm just like,
this is where it's so controversial. How do you check?
Yeah. How do you know? How are you able to like fully?
Yeah, because does it diversify each time? Like, is it specific to you? So that way it's never the same.
You can feed it like what tone you want it to speak in, like all the things. I think the scarier part is that we're also seeing these tools and they're, as far as I know, I don't have access to open source ones, but for video editing. And so where it's scary is like deep fakes. Because let's say one of you fucked me over and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put your face on someone and like release a sex tape and put it on Pornhub. Easy.
Oh, for the love of Lord.
Wow.
So we do live in the future, but the future is going to be really fucking wild over the next couple of years because this has literally changed everything as we know
I
it.
didn't know all this before. This is too early in the morning for this kind of mind fuck.
I do
My
think
coffee's
you should
cold.
log in to ChatGPT and check it out, just even out of an appetite of curiosity, because it's quite.
I'm for sure going to do it right after this call.
It's the shit
You
that
know what
makes me
else
want to go live in the woods and just garden. And, I already am constantly tempted. Honestly, if it wasn't for our crew, boom, I'd be gone. Cabin in the woods. You might see me pop out a couple times a year tops.
Well, my secret dream is to have a wooded cabin with like a Moto themed, but like with nice aesthetic Airbnb. So maybe we just collaborate and we can have the Motovation retreat.
We just have to earn just enough to comfortably live. Pop out every
ChatGPT is going to help me get there.
There it is. Yeah.
So that we can be well invested.
The irony is not lost.
I'm going to segue with yours, Krissy, because I actually am finding like some seriously concerning stuff with the internet, and I'd like to know what you guys think. Because, so Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And I have two phone numbers now. One is Mexican and one is from Canada, and I'll come back to why that's relevant. But I'm noticing that as of this morning, like I had one more person on Instagram message me going, my other account is fake, or somebody's hacked into it. I created a whole new account. And so I went into chat with this person who had created an account, and I was like, oh no, like, I can't believe your original account got hacked. I've seen a lot of that lately. And they were like, yeah, they're going to try and send you some stuff. Just let me know so I can report it. And I was like, okay, no problem. I'm going to go into your other account and I'm going to block it right now. And so then I went into the other account and I saw on that person's Instagram story that the account that was messaging me was the fake account. So then I couldn't decipher which account was the fake account. But then I got a message inside my work Instagram that was relevant to the same situation. And I was like, I'm so concerned as to what information it is that they're trying to pull. And Instagram, I feel like, is just the start of it, because Instagram, actually, I don't know if you guys have had your accounts hacked, but I've had so many friends that get hacked now that they're like, there is nothing you can do. Like, Instagram has no way of pulling that account away and finding out who's real and who's not. And so they're allowing all these accounts that look like us to grab information from all the other people, to gather data, to do whatever they want with it. And the information that this person was asking was very private. And I was just like, I want to just shut the internet off. Like, I don't know, like, all my information is on, like, your computer, your phone, your everything. And now AI exists. Like, those photos on Instagram of those people that they posted up that were AI, that they look real.
But also, why are people so...
And I just don't know.
On those AI photos, sorry, but like the amount where they're like, oh my God, you look beautiful. Da, da, da. I'm like, I just was talking about this yesterday, and I'm like, but they know, like, it's not you. Like, it's a resemblance created. But it's just like,
it's not, that isn't your face. You're not, like, and not that you're not beautiful, but like, you're complimenting on them as if they took that photo, or they had that photo taken of them, and what a great look you had that day. Like, no, what an incredible art piece of you. Yeah. What an incredible, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the one you guys are talking about, but I'm talking about something completely separate. Like, they posted on like a viral thing that looked like a carousel of 4 different photos of people partying in a college setting. And it looked like real, full, like you and me.
I see what you mean. Like, now, it just looked like
real people. It looked like people just partying, like somebody having a shot, these 2 really good looking dudes, like, laughing about something, and they looked fully like real people partying and I was just like, are these?
And it's not.
And at the
real.
bottom it said, these people are AI. Can you believe it? And I was like,
first off, quick question.
Yeah.
did you look into like the source of it all to make sure that like that's not an actual photo? And you know how so much shit gets posted? I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying like
it's a
you
good
know how
question.
people will
If
say
you
that
really
and you look
look
into
at
it and you're
the
like, no,
photo-
that is a real photo. That's not, you know.
It's hard to say because you can actually never tell what's real and what isn't. But if you really fully deep dive look into that photo, you can go, okay, yeah, the shadows are a bit weird.
Gotcha.
And the teeth, maybe not. Like the skin's kind of shiny. Like there's these little things that you're like, that doesn't look real. You're right. That does look very AI. I'm going to find it and I'm going to send it to you guys. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah,
but I just thought to myself, you know, everything's getting hacked these days. And the only way, and I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it, because the only way for me to tell who was real, and this is how I did it, is I asked that new account, I said, I'm going to ask you something personal. And if you can respond to me, I'll keep this account. And then I asked the original account, can I ask you something personal to make sure it's really you? And the new Instagram account, which I thought was dead on, the person I thought it was like, oh, I'm too busy. I can't answer a question right now. And then the person whose original Instagram was like, oh, yeah. And my question was, how did we meet? And she bang on nailed it. And I was like, oh, you're really that person. How? Because you wouldn't be able to know if you were the hacker. So I had to delete the original or the brand new account that this person created, and they had literally lied to me through their teeth about like, it was amazing how well they were good at being like, I'm real. That other account isn't, and it was so scary.
Well, and think how
so I just want to know like what your guys' thoughts are and like
to learn about you, right? Like if you have. Like most people post most of their lives. So it would be very easy to embody someone. But on a safety note, if you don't have 2-factor authentication on all your accounts, like literally do it right now. It's not foolproof, but like I couldn't imagine operating without that. Even not too long ago, I had it. I used to use Twitter heavily for my old job. And I don't use the accounts too much now, but there was definitely someone trying to get in. And my 2-factor authentication, I think I had 200 texts because obviously a bot was trying to like password scoop and get in, but luckily they couldn't.
I can't, Richelle, to answer kind of like what my thoughts are on that. I can't necessarily speak to how, I understand that world so little. I have so little information on how to necessarily the best practice as to navigate that in any capacity. So I can't even put my thoughts in that regard. But what I can say is that one of the things that I've kind of approached it with is like all the more reason to kind of slow down in our day-to-day moments in life of what we're reading, what we're taking in, who we're answering back, because there's such this need of like, get this done. I'll message this person back. I'll do this thing. I'll read this thing. I'll take in that information. I'll let it affect my emotional state. I'll move on here and I'll move on here. And everything's out there, how hackable we are at this point in time because of technology, because of the information data and how susceptible we are during this time of the day and what we're looking at, how long we're looking, all these different things. And so how I view it in this moment of like, well, where do I have choice? Where do I have some sort of control over my experience within this fucking jungle, if you will, is like the more I can slow down in my day and be present with what I'm doing and what I'm participating in and the information I'm taking in, the sources that are coming in, the more that I'm going to learn how best to navigate as it goes a mile a minute. And I might, because of that, always be completely behind the ball in a professional sense. I very well likely will. But for personally my sanity, and just feeling like I don't even know how much of my thoughts are my own thoughts and how much of them are, all that stuff, that it's like when I start my day. And like Krissy said, you have to have a happy medium though, too, because you can't just say, I refuse to participate. Well, that's just not an option in the world that we live in today. And and I think that's a cop out too, right? So you have to have some sort of foot in the door, or else, depending on what you do for a living, but all the things that we do for a living, the three of us, we have to have our foot in the door. And so, but I think you have to constantly have your foot outside of it as well, as much as you possibly can. So that's kind of where I look at it, is like slowing down on a day-to-day so that you can have more of critical thinking as like, and I think you did really a great job. The story that you're telling, where you started to go like, whoa, okay. How can I, like, how can I actually decipher? How can I slow this down? And also sometimes we have to learn in this hard, moments where you do kind of get a bit manipulated in that world before you realize that, like, you don't have to go looking for it. It's coming looking for you. And it's more and more now, and it's getting more and more sophisticated. And so the quicker that you can see those little flags and not respond or not engage, if at all possible. And then if you do, weed it out, like, what the fuck, who's the real, who's the completely fabricated. So that's the best I can answer on that.
Yeah. I'm terrified of my stuff getting hacked. I don't know.
We should
be.
So
So much of our
so
livelihood.
much work into my Instagram.
Yeah, that happened to a buddy of mine, and his whole business is on Instagram, and he had over 260,000 followers. And same thing, like, you can't really get any help from Instagram and stuff. And it's like one thing to be like, well, just build your following again. But like, at the end of the day, you can't be disillusioned. People aren't looking for you. Like, there's so many distractions. So once you've lost them, to amass that again, it's like this insurmountable task. Luckily, he had a lot of success on his other platforms, but he's a personal trainer that sells like online, like it's a YouTube structure, etc. And so that main marketing funnel was just instantly gone. His traffic went down, all the things. And it was really stressful. But luckily, similar to you, Laurie, he's very practiced and does a ton of self-work. He has a meditation room, all the things. And so very quickly, he was able to pivot into like, what is this here to teach me? And for him, he's got a massive 46-inch peach. So his ass has been his bread and butter. It's quite impressive. But he is a really deep
I do.
soul, right? So he was kind of like, oh,
peach?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he was trying to be like sex symbol, but motivational. And like that crossbreed wasn't working out very well. So his whole new endeavors have really been more who he wanted to show up as. So somebody that was able to kind of take a lesson and move in stride. But that would be, we've seen it happen to local businesses in Vancouver and they're like, it's been wiped out, and there'll be a news outlet that does an article for a day, but they don't amass the same following they had. It sounds superficial, but it's not when it's your fucking livelihood, because these are our livelihoods.
That's the difference. It's not a matter of like, oh, I'm checking in how many likes did I get for these people. This is literally paying their rent. This is paying the food. This is paying, you know what I mean? This is like, all of a sudden you walked in and you lost a job, and they were like, I don't know, someone came in and pretended that they were you, and so we have to kick you both out. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Neither of you can come in, clear your desk is gone. Like, what? And that's what it is in the world that exists when you are an online business, essentially, in that regard, or your who you are is your business, and your clientele is online. Boom, everything's gone.
Yeah, that's the end of that. It's very stressful to think about, and it sucks that it's happening. So I guess this is all just like a good lesson that we need to just keep up with the times, and two-step authentication, verifications, and just always be changing your passwords. And it sucks, man.
Two-step verification online, two-step verification on who you are as a human in the morning.
Amen.
So that you remember, like, who are you, to make sure that you're authenticating who you are before you even join that motherfucking world that day.
Quote of the episode.
I'm going to get a t-shirt which does it. Two-step verification.
In the morning with yourself.
You got to trademark that shit.
I know, right?
I think there could be a whole course. I see it all. I'll get ChatGPT to write the outline for us.
You are.
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Vann.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Get Moto.
Whoop, boss it.
Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast, and visit our website at themotovation.com. And in the meantime, full tanks, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, you know, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't floss.
Oh, it's gonna be so hard not to laugh to get through this intro.